I started with our youngest. He was 7 at the time.
Uh-huh.
And I said, Colin, what's 2 plus 2? He goes, 4. And I had a piece of candy in my hand. I'm like, no, it's 5. And he goes, no, it's 4. I'm like, no, it's 5. So I moved to Case. He was 9 at the time. I said, hey, what's 2 plus 2? And he goes, 4? And I'm like, no, it's 5. You didn't. I moved to Cam, who's a really super smart one. And I said, what's 2 plus 2? And he goes, well, I know the answer is 4, but you want me to say 5. So 5. And I'm like, correct. And I gave him a piece of candy. Got to Riley. I said, what's 2 plus 2? She goes, 5. And I'm like, all right. Gave her a piece of candy. I said, guys, in 2 generations, truth changed.
Yeah. So welcome to the Heroes Podcast, 3rd edition, and we're calling it now the Heroes on Air because we have this wonderful prop and we need to use it. So, anyways, today we have, so as you may know, I'm Tom Trese, the creator of the Heroes, wrote a book, wrote a script on it. It's received awards, and we've received a letter of intent from Film Hub to distribute it when it's completed. We hope to shoot it in summer of this year and reach streaming platforms in the fall. So we're going to talk to J William Reynolds here in just a minute. But first I want to introduce this wonderful guy over here, my co-host, brother in crime, and the hardest working man in podcast business, Bryan Fernandez.
Well, hey everyone, welcome back. We are now in the second part of episode 2, and we're interviewing J William, who plays Cody in The Heroes. We're very excited to have you, and if you want to go ahead and just dive in and tell everybody who this character is and how he fits into the story of The Heroes.
Cody is a fun-loving guy, also known as, this is selfing from y'all, the lovable hunk. The lovable hunk of the cast and resident tough guy, or at least that's what I like to think, the resident tough guy, who handles business both physically and mentally.
Yeah. An interesting past because Cody has a substance abuse problem, and that ties in with the way that you got to Nashville.
Right.
But yeah. So do you enjoy him?
I love him. His character has a lot in common with me. From trying to figure out life.
Oh yeah.
And not always following Christ. It's always following my own set of rules.
Oh yeah.
And so I wouldn't say I ever battled with addictions. However, I've probably, if it's out there, I've tried it and I've done it. And thank the good Lord, I never had that bend to me about being addicted. Even with substances that have been known to be addicting with a one-time use.
Yeah.
I think God just saw fit and said, hey, this isn't going to be your life.
Yeah.
And thank the good Lord, that's what he intended for me, because here I am today without having to say, I didn't have to battle those true addictions.
Yeah.
So.
Amen. And so we were speaking about you and Cody. Tell us more about your life before acting and during. And I saw in your biography in IMDb that you got into acting, and then you decided, and you were a dancer for Leanne Rimes.
Yes.
Amazing. I want to hear about that.
Okay.
You might have to dance for us, don't you?
No.
He's got boots on.
That's 20 pounds. 20 pounds.
20 pounds. He doesn't have his dance shoes on.
It doesn't look as good as it used to.
No. But no, tell us about that, and then getting back to acting, and your 5 kids. And
okay.
Life.
So acting. I was playing basketball at A&M Corpus Christi, and my girlfriend at that time wanted to go to California to pursue acting, and I thought I was going to go, but I was talked out of it by my dad and my coaches, who said, if you love it now, you'll love it in a few years. She ended up going. I ended up staying, and she actually ended up on General Hospital for a few years.
Oh, wow.
So I never really scratched that itch of moving to California. However, I quickly fell into dancing and had an opportunity to do some background work or some backup dancing for Leanne Rimes. And travel with her, and that was really, really fun. However, being on the road And those type of things, I knew I was really never going to find a wife, at least not the type of wife I really wanted, not a Proverbs
Right.
31 wife,
Right.
not
yeah.
someone I really wanted to marry.
Wow.
Lots of emptiness, lots of fatherlessness. And so I got out of dancing, went and got a regular job working at an office. This company was a domestic company. They did CNAs to elderly homes and premature babies, and they did commercial landscaping. So I sort of ran that just to escape the life.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I got into insurance somehow from one of their clients. And long story short, went into home sales. And so I sat in a model home every single weekend and let people
Wow.
come to me.
So
But-
are you still in California when you're doing all this?
No, I
You're
was in
back here.
Texas the whole time. I
Oh, the
never
whole-
went to California.
You never did. Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I never went
yeah.
to California, so I never really
Excuse
scratched
me.
that itch. So I wanted to go
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
However, my form of entertainment was dancing.
Yeah.
And then I went to regular work, and so I met my wife. She was a Seattle Seahawks cheerleader. So I met her in Washington State.
Okay.
And I was 27, she was 20, and I'm a grown man. I'm not going to go back and forth up here. I was in Houston at the time.
Yeah.
And so the Texans were having their tryouts. The Houston Texans were having their tryouts. I said, the tryouts are next week. Fly you down. If you make it, you stay. If you don't, we'll reevaluate this relationship. Well, here we are, 18 years later, 5 kids.
She made it.
So she made it. She made it, yeah. And
So
now
she was a Houston Texan cheerleader.
after the Seahawks, correct. So she has a entertainment background as well.
Wow. Yeah.
Our kids are really, really fine art centric. They love sports. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
They do love sports, but they all play instruments. They all sing.
Oh yeah.
And that's sort of a rule in our house. You're
But
going
they
to
got
do
the
this.
acting bug too, or no?
I say yes. I say no. I don't want them to be child actors.
Right.
I want them to figure out who they are first as a person before they let someone else tell them who they need to be.
Yep.
But
Wow.
yes, they do
Well
rehearse
said.
scenes with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
They do. They ask a lot of questions about it. And I think a couple of them will want to be in front of the camera. But we'll see.
Wow. What a full life. So talk to us about you got a bunch of projects going on. I
Right.
know you can't be specific about most of it, but just broad brush what you're doing, what kind of things you're doing, and how you see the industry now.
Okay. How I see the industry now, it's changing. It's ever evolving. I
Yep.
mean,
Yep.
gone are the days of everything's in California.
Yep.
Now with Texas and Taylor Sheridan and everything going on in Fort
Yeah.
Worth, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of emphasis here. So I think we can be a full-time working actor from Texas if that's what we choose.
Yeah.
We want to do.
Yeah.
As for my life, I always thought I was going to be in front of the camera, and then the Lord placed on my heart to start writing a movie, and which is weird because I am not a writer by
Mhm.
any imagination. Ask my wife, not a writer. Usually I sit down to write and I Like Lamp comes out or something. It's something stupid. Just I can't do it. And I told her about this idea about the prodigal son story, but told through a daughter. And I started laying it out on a road trip, and she goes, "That's actually pretty good. Like, why don't
Yeah.
you put it down on paper?" And it's
Yeah.
just, I sat down and just started typing, and the words just kept coming. And it's, as you know, everybody says, "Well, it came from God. It came from." No, this came from God. Like,
Yeah.
there's zero doubt about that.
Right.
Who the words came from, because
Mhm.
at that point I really didn't say I was a writer, because every time my wife would read a rough draft, she'd just break down in tears, like, "How did you do this? Like,
Yeah.
I never thought you'd be able to do this." And so that's why I
Yeah.
say I give a lot of credit to God who gave me all the words. Now,
Yeah.
it's loosely based on my real life story, but it's told
Uh-huh.
through 3 different people. And so we're going through that process right now.
Mm.
Started a second feature called Christmas Adam, which is, I can't talk about that because no one's attached to it yet. But Christmas Adam's the forgotten day of December 23rd, since Adam came before Eve. And so how we forgot how we forgot about December 23rd. So it's called Christmas
I like
Adam.
it.
And
Never
I
knew
hope.
Adam's birthday. I mean, now I.
Oh
do.
yeah, so it's
Wow.
it's gonna be a fun one
Uh-huh.
for December 23rd. More of a, I think, Hallmark style
Yeah.
love story,
Sure.
with a faith based element to it.
That's hard to say, isn't faith based?
Oh, faith based. It is a
But
very
good.
hard thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So somehow I've gotten into writing, and I have some other projects that I have sort of in the works that I've started doing outlines on, and helping raising money for a few feature films, and
Mhm.
which those are all bigger, not non faith based.
Lioness was shooting literally when was it, Thursday? Like
Yeah.
right outside this building. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping, right? Like
I know.
I hope to get the call, and I know
Yes.
realistically there's thousands of people that
Yeah.
audition for these roles. However, Beth she does all of Taylor's casting. She keeps requesting,
Mhm.
so I'm hoping that's good news.
Good
That's
news.
great news. yeah.
Nothing's landed yet, but
Yeah.
it will. And once again,
You'll
it's
find it. Yeah. You
that's
will.
why I like the production side of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then I get to be the boss.
Yes.
And that's
Yeah.
I'm there's one of these things that I watched Mark Wahlberg on a podcast talk about how he shifted, what shifted his career. And he goes, he was losing all of his roles to Leo and Toby.
Yeah.
And so he went out and found the money.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so he put himself in the front of the line
Yeah.
for all projects. And that's
Yeah.
sort of, if actors especially,
Yeah.
where we have a 0.002% chance of really making a real income from acting,
Yeah.
unless you take control.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what I want to do, is take control of this. And it's not always putting myself in the lead, but just putting myself out there
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
being able to see more. And this, even with the projects I'm writing, if Matthew McConaughey said, "Hey, I want to do your film, but I'm going to be the lead," I would gladly move aside. Like, oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah. Right.
here you go. You
Yeah,
know,
right,
I would
right.
gladly do that.
Yeah.
But that's not the intention. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, favorite dream role that you have?
A musical comedy.
Really?
I would love to do a musical
Really?
comedy. I grew up in choir.
Oh, yeah.
And I chose not to do music theater when I should have, because sports, our coaches, especially back then,
Yeah.
choir was frowned upon.
Right.
From
Right.
a masculinity standpoint,
Yeah.
and
Of course. Yeah.
and I wish I would have done more and taken that seriously, because I love, as y'all know, my background with Leanne Rhymes.
Yeah.
I love to dance.
Do you play an instrument?
I do not play an instrument. Always wanted to learn how to play.
Yeah.
Kids all play one. My wife plays too.
Uh-huh.
I just never have got to play an instrument, but I'm not afraid to put myself out there.
The kazoo is really easy to pick
Hey,
up.
that's I might have to pick that up.
Tambourine, that's
I can
good.
play one in a show. There's a
Yeah.
guy writing a script right now, supposedly for me.
Can you
that-
sing?
I love to sing.
You love to sing? You
Love-
want to sing something for us?
No, do not want to sing right now.
Terrence sang for us.
Terrence did sing,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't mind singing
Uh-huh.
like it was being filmed or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
I,
yeah.
I love
you have a process.
Yeah, I'm more of a chorale singer, like
Uh-huh.
choir type singing
Okay.
Yeah.
than traditional pop. However, if I'm gonna lean to a singing, like hey, it really fits my voice, it's either show tunes, and that's because I think you can cover it with being entertaining and loud and enjoyable.
What's
and,
your favorite show, musical?
Oh, man, I love Miss Saigon.
Oh.
Love Miss Saigon.
Uh-huh.
Just because the vocal performances in that are really, really stellar.
Yeah.
Still, I love Rent too.
Rent?
Rent's still very good. I
Yeah.
like to fashion myself as the lead.
I would have never
And
guessed.
Rent.
You look at Jay and it's like he
No
loves
one-
musicals. He's dancing. It's like such a
No one
such a-
ever. It's funny because with the tattoos and everything else, like no one ever pictures that. Even when I'm at the gym, if I'm doing cardio,
Mhm.
I'm listening to Broadway.
Are
Wow,
you really?
same.
Yeah, I'm listening to
Really?
Broadway because I get lost in the
Yes.
music.
Uh-huh.
I don't,
Yes.
it's just sort of like I don't pay attention to the time anymore.
Yeah.
But if I'm doing cardio, because I refuse to listen to music when I'm lifting. I don't
Yeah.
want to crutch, and that's why I say that. I don't want to pull up in the parking lot and go, "Oh, I forgot my headphones. I can't work out today." So I choose never to use headphones when I'm lifting weights.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
But if I'm doing cardio, I will listen to
Okay.
music, and most of the time it is Broadway.
Have you seen Aladdin on Broadway?
I have not seen it on Broadway.
It's so good.
I
It's
say
amazing.
I look forward to seeing anything I can, even the shows that I don't really care for. Still,
Yeah.
just
Mhm.
good to see the music. I mean,
Yeah.
my wife in 2014, we saw Wicked on Broadway,
Yeah.
and I knew nothing about Wicked at that point. Oh, amazing!
Yes.
Like just
Yeah.
I got to
Yeah.
see it in August last year, but
Yeah.
for me it was I watched the movie first, the
Yeah.
first one.
okay,
Yeah.
I had no idea because my aunt, shout out to my aunt, she's a huge Wicked fan, like huge.
right?
And so it was so like everyone just loved it that I wasn't really like gonna watch it. But then I went watching, going to watch the movie
Yeah.
with very like just clean expectations, had no idea what was gonna happen. Then I watched the film, the first one, and I fell in love with it. And then I was able to go to New York in August last year, and I got to see the
Yeah.
Broadway show.
Yeah.
But then I got to see what happened after Act 2, when I got,
Right.
which is a
Uh-huh.
really weird thing because some people watch the first movie, the second movie, then they watch the complete show on Broadway.
Right.
But for me, it was I watched part 1. I
Yeah.
I get to see the film on Broadway, so I get to
Yeah.
see Act 2, and
Yeah.
then I got to see the second part.
Yeah.
It was really cool. I loved Wicked. It's a
Does it
phenomenal
annoy
musical.
either one of you that the only things that are put on stage anymore are proven movies?
Mhm.
I mean, whether it's, you know, The Lion King or whatever. I mean, I think I get it. I think it's the same reason that Hollywood only makes these things that they know, you know, the second of this or that. Did that bother you guys at all? I mean, it's an entirely different discussion, but
Not
not
really.
really.
I
No,
mean, it's one of
no.
those things about. I mean, I get it.
Yeah,
They're trying. I mean, like Back to the Future, the musical.
yeah,
How can we? I mean, yes, and some people love it.
yeah,
I mean, some
yeah,
people love that musical, but it's
Yeah.
just like
yeah,
I don't agree with that. I wish
Yeah.
they go back to traditional indie style plays and like, hey, let's make something that the world's never seen,
yeah,
or a book. Like when
Yeah.
they used to go just off books first.
yeah.
Like I don't like Cats or anything else like that.
Thank
but
goodness.
I
Yeah.
I can see why
yeah.
Yeah.
it has such rave reviews.
Have you guys? So you talked about doing some voiceover, I think yesterday or the day before. Have you done some voiceovers?
No voiceover
Do you
work.
want to do voiceovers? You
I
have a
wouldn't
great
mind it.
voice.
I mean, I think it's I like voices, right? Especially
Yeah.
having a lot of kids. You
Yeah.
gotta use funny voices with them.
Yeah.
And so I like doing voice work. I've just never had the opportunity.
You can do a funny voice now if you like, but you don't. You
my,
won't.
my voice is nasally.
Soon
enough.
there'll be the Heroes musical, and
Hey,
I'll
he'll
do-
get
I'll
his
do-
chance.
I'll do
He'll
that,
get his
though.
solo.
That-
Yeah, you can hear it then.
He just,
yeah.
I actually have a question
Yes.
for Jay,
Yeah.
which is, what are the similarities that you and your character Cody have?
Definitely some battling some issues in the past, especially when it comes to the dancing world, everything that goes along with that. It's just it's a party every night. You can
Yeah.
do whatever you want, and
Yeah.
being the only heterosexual male,
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
it's a world that I was chasing some things I didn't realize I was insecure about, and I was seeking validation through women usually.
Yeah.
Women or drugs, or I needed that constant people tell me, oh, you're great, you're this, you're that. And I was just constantly seeking validation. And it was usually in the form of a woman that
Yeah.
made me feel complete. And I never realized
Yeah.
that until I got older of like, hey, there were some really things that weren't normal that I saw that
And
I
you've
did.
only been married once.
I've only been married once, 18
Okay.
years this year.
Congratulations,
Thank you so
buddy.
much.
I mean, I've been married for 50 years. 3 women, but 50 years. So, you know.
That's
it's
a long
different-
time.
It's a different time. Yeah. Different.
Yeah, no, I've been
Um,
married once. It's funny when I met my wife. So my parents are still married. Her parents are still married.
Oh.
And when I met my wife, I called my parents. I'm like, hey, her parents are actually still together. That's the first thing I ever said to my parents
yeah.
about her, and that was really something. I don't want to be the first one in my family that gets a divorce.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's one of those things. Just the kids get to see the ups, the kids get to see the downs. We're very upfront with them about life and what difficulties
Right.
we have, and
Right.
working through issues.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the being transparent with your kids. Like, hey,
Yes.
we're humans, just like y'all. We
Exactly.
have we have mistakes, just like y'all.
Exactly.
We might jump on y'all when it's not y'all's fault.
Yeah.
And I think it's being quick to apologize. I think that's
Yeah.
what marriage is, being quick to apologize, regardless of right or wrong.
Where so you live here in Prosper?
North Dallas. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So that's where your kids are getting their homeschool buddies
Correct.
to play in. And I mean, this is the best place for sports in the world.
It's amazing.
In the world.
Right.
I've got a grandson who's a all-star hockey goalie,
Mhm.
and he's 13. I mean, and we could go on and on about that, but that's great because you always wonder when you homeschool where the kids are getting their social contacts, and
Oh,
they're
yeah.
healthy ones like sports.
Right.
But that's fabulous.
People don't realize, not your generation, but our generation, homeschool was way different. Homeschool, I figured those kids were rolling up to our churches like in covered wagons and skirts that went down their ankles and bonnets. Like
Right.
you just saw them once a week and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
almost like a sideshow. You're like, who are these people?
Yeah.
Homeschool now, though, there's so many activities.
Yeah.
Our kids are
Yeah.
busier.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, schoolwork only takes about an hour and a half a day.
Yeah.
If they buckle down, they're done with everything.
Yeah.
And it's more college prep work. And the reason I say that is
Yeah.
they know where to find their materials. They know where to find their lesson. They know how to find out how to do their lesson. Not the youngest two, the 3 oldest. And they know how to find all the answers and how to actually work out problems versus here's how you do it. Here's this. Here's that. So they, like college, you have to figure it out all on your own.
Yeah.
And even
Yeah.
with their essay tests, even with their reading. But after that, it's going to this training, going to that lesson, going to this event.
Mhm.
It's they're
Right.
busy, and we have a co-op that we're a part of. So we go to a co-op once a week where we meet up with other kids their age.
Great.
There's a teacher in each class that sort of holds them accountable
Mhm.
to where you're supposed to be right now. What are y'all supposed to be covering? What are you supposed to be learning?
Yeah.
They sort of review them to make sure they're grasping the concept so that no kids are getting left behind.
Yeah.
And isn't it true that a lot of homeschool kids do much better on SATs and
I don't like to say that, but
I mean,
they outperform
yeah,
most private schools pretty easily. And they're
Yeah.
usually a grade or two ahead.
yeah,
Now,
yeah,
and they're free thinkers.
Mhm.
They
Yeah.
question everything, which is my favorite part about homeschooling is
Mhm.
they don't take what someone says as truth. They're going to
Mhm.
look it up and they're going to find out reality versus faux reality. That what media is spewing, saying, "Hey, reality." They're going to say, "Wait, hold on. Let's
Yeah.
find out some. Let's find out some actual information
yeah,
to validate your answers." And that's how they find out. I mean, they're even with my favorite course they take is called Fallacy Detective.
oh,
So
good,
they'll take what the media says and say, "Hey, is this true or false?" And we won't go into some of that just because I know
yeah,
who watched this. However, I'll just give one example. I lined them all 5 up, and I said, I started with our youngest. He was 7 at the time. And I said, "Colin, what's 2 plus 2?" He goes, 4. And I had a piece of candy in my hand. I'm like, "No, it's 5. And he goes, "No, it's 4. I'm like, "No, it's 5. So I moved to Case. He was 9 at the time. I said, "Hey, what's 2 plus 2?" And he goes, 4. And I'm like, "No, it's 5. You didn't." I moved to Cam, who's our really super smart one. And I said, "What's 2 plus 2?" And he goes, "Well, I know the answer is 4, but you want me to say 5. So 5. And I'm like, "Correct." And I gave him a piece of candy. Got to Riley. I said, "What's 2 plus 2?" She goes, 5. And I'm like, "All right." Gave her a piece of candy. I said, "Guys, in 2
That's-
generations, truth changed."
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's all it took
Wow.
was
Yeah.
2 people,
Yeah.
and it changed the truth of what is actual reality. I'm like, that's Fallacy Detective in a visual
That's great.
representation.
That's
So how do you shield them or incorporate AI into their lives?
That's tough.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's a moving target, right? I mean,
Absolutely, and it's all around our industry.
it's all around the industry. It's all around the news right now. Now people
Right.
are saying, "Well, I didn't do that. That was AI." There's no way of detecting
Detecting
Yeah.
it,
whether it's true or not. And so that's a moving target that's
It
sort of
is.
hard to
It is.
we don't know anything about it.
Exactly.
And so I think we're just sitting and waiting and seeing how they adapt and saying, "Hey, once again,
So you
take everything with a grain of salt."
Can your kids get so they don't have social media exposure? Do they have AI exposure on their phones, on their laptops?
They're playing with it. I said the super smart one, Camden.
Yeah, yeah,
He sent some videos the other day that were AI
yeah.
with his brother's face, and
Oh,
we didn't know about that app. At least Samantha gave him. Samantha's my wife.
Yeah.
Samantha gave him this app because she has to approve everything,
Yeah,
and she didn't know it had the AI stuff. And so now we've had to sit down and say, "Hey, no, this can't
yeah,
be seen,
yeah.
and it
Yeah.
can't be just because digital footprints are everything now." And I know
Absolutely.
he even. It was a really good prank. But
Yeah.
he put Connor's name on it. Connor's our oldest. He put
Yeah.
his name on it and put some really just heinous stuff, like funny stuff. But
Yeah.
and he put it as his profile and left it there and answered questions as him.
Oh,
And
yeah.
when we found out, he got in big trouble. I'm like, you do realize if that's something in the world that might hurt him in 20 or 30 years, because now it's out there. This is never getting
Right,
deleted. This is
right,
never. Well, it was
right.
just a joke. I'm like, however,
Yeah.
that footprint is there forever. So I mean, that's the
Yeah.
kids will figure it out. They'll figure out how to remove a filter. They'll figure out how to remove security controls. And
Yeah.
we're usually the last ones to find out. And
Yeah.
they're like, oh, how do we? They figure out all of our passcodes to like
Oh, yeah.
just Netflix because we watch different stuff than the kids watch. They all know our passcodes.
Yeah,
They've
yeah.
all figured it out. We think they're dumb, and it's like
yeah.
Connor's like, "Dad, we've done that for years." And I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because it'll show up on my Netflix. They watch so and so, and I'm like, "Did you watch this?" And Samantha's like, "No," and I'm like, "I didn't." And I asked the kids, "Oh, it was none of us." I'm like, "Guys,
Yeah, right.
one of
Yeah.
y'all."
Right.
I mean,
right.
our society and generation is in a formative time, not only
Yeah.
in the industry but just in general, right?
Yeah.
Just, like, I feel like I'm 22, so like I'm kind of that very last generation because from my childhood, I didn't really grow up with a lot of technology. I mean, I had like the Wii, you
Right.
know, I would play outside, but then now it's I think I was really one of the last generations that was like able
Yeah.
to kind of, or at least for me, starting to really see the technological change of, you know, the iPads, the ChatGPT, AI, and to talk about your point about homeschooling. So I signed with my agency in 2019, my first one, and I actually was in public school at the time, and I also was training in an acting school at the same time. So I was like doing multiple things. And so there was a moment where I started getting auditions and things like that, and I could not balance public school. I could not do it. It was really hard for me because,
Yeah.
you know, you would have to, you know, have your mom pick you up and get out of school and go to the audition or go whatever. And it was just really hard. And so it allowed me to mature at a pretty young age. And I actually had to leave public school my senior year and
Mm.
homeschool my senior year. So I had to leave a lot of familiarity for me. I had to leave a lot of like, you know, friends and colleagues and things like that. And I had to really pursue this career that I really wanted to do and go homeschooling. And it allowed me
Mm.
to mature very quickly. I actually really enjoyed homeschooling because also I was the generation that went through COVID. So I was
Right.
able to kind of test what it was like to have school at home. I feel like God kind of allowed me to go through that training
Right.
first, and then I felt super confident to be like, you know what, let
Mhm.
me. I mean, I had to at the time, but I felt very confident just being like, you know what, let me just homeschool my senior year. And so I think a lot of people are now going to homeschool their kids. It's a very formative time. I don't know what
Yeah.
I'll do with my kids
Yeah.
because of that social aspect, but for me, it allowed me to grow a lot as an individual because
Yeah.
it teaches you a lot of things.
Yeah. There's a lot of programs I know
Yes.
online now for
Yeah.
academic stuff. It's just
Yeah,
amazing.
when I was in the
Yeah.
school, they were all virtual teachers. You know,
Yeah.
it
Yeah. There's
wasn't
that.
just you by yourself
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
like the teachers
Yeah.
would meet with you, they would tell you
Yeah.
what the homework was, and then you would do it on your own.
Yeah. This guy had. So I'm a neurologist, and I know what an acoustic neuroma is. He had one. It's a sort of a, well, it is a benign tumor, but it wraps. It's a tumor that wraps around your auditory nerve, the nerve that goes into your hearing mechanism, and it can strangle it, and it can also do, if it gets big enough, it can do other things. The surgery is it's precarious, and so this guy had that and had surgery, and
Mhm.
as a result, has no hearing in which ear?
My right ear.
Your right ear, and he makes movies, and he's on set, and he's got to listen for cues, and he's got to listen. He's got to, and it's amazing. So please share with us your life with that,
Okay.
and how other people with disabilities might be able to
Right.
act.
Well, it was a 7-year process, and that was the problem. So mine actually, as they classify these tumors in centimeters, and they stop measuring at 5, and then they just say giant. Well, he said mine was giant plus. So my problem is I let it go for 7 years. I had an MRI originally when I was 27, and it came back inconclusive, which they did it without the contrast and dye.
Yeah.
And so
Was
they
it
just said
was it a CT or an MRI?
MRI.
Okay.
So they did not find anything then. And they just said, oh, it's just vertigo, do the Epley maneuvers and all the things. And I'm like, it's not getting better.
Yeah.
But as a male, pretty dumb. I'm not going to go back and keep seeing the doctor. They already told me they found my problem. And I did it. Symptoms kept getting worse over the next 7 years. I started having speech impediments, which I speak fast. So I was just trying okay, slow down. Did a couple curb checks when I was driving and started losing my balance. And then the stagnus started, which
Mhm.
stagnus is you can't focus left or right. Your eyes sort of shake.
Kind of jerk.
And then I finally got tinnitus. And I'm like, okay, this is stupid. I don't like this. So I went and saw my buddy. And I'm like, hey, I need the drops. And he goes, hey, you still shouldn't be experiencing this. Like, can we get you a test? And I'm like, why? I'm like, my ears are ringing. He goes, yeah, but
Yeah.
it shouldn't be vertigo shouldn't be happening for 7 years. Because I literally dealt with vertigo every day for 7 years.
Oh boy.
I knew my trigger. Laying down, looking to the right. I knew the room was going to spin uncontrollably. So every time I go to the gym, I lay down on the bench press, let the dizziness go away, do my set. Like I got used to it.
Yeah.
And he said, okay, let's go get you an ECOG test. And an ECOG test, for anybody that doesn't know, it's basically put these drunk goggles on you is what I call them. Or actually, this is the V&G test. Sorry, V&G test.
V&G.
And they put these goggles on you, and it's a red light that goes back and forth and just measures your eye movement. And this poor little lady who's just the tech, I get done, and she goes, Mister, I can't tell you anything, but I've never seen it this bad. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then once again, as at my ear doctor, so it's no big deal. Wasn't an oncologist or anything else like that. So I got the results 2 weeks later, and they said, hey, we can't read your results. You need to go see an otorhinolaryngologist. And so, which again, not an oncologist, so I'm not scared. I'm like, oh, no big deal.
Right.
So they put me through an ECOG test, which is they put all these sensors all over you, and they just measure the pressure between your ear, your brainstem, and your ear canal. And they said, oh, we found your problem. You have too much pressure on your right side. Take these 3 scripts. You'll be better in a few weeks.
Nobody suggested
And
a
it-
scan.
Well, here's the story. So I'm
Yeah.
like, cool. And so I'm walking out. My wife is at her grandmother's funeral in Minnesota at the time. And so I'm walking out, and Dr. Cherie Booth is here in town. She's awesome. She comes around. She goes, you know what? Let's just dot the I's and cross the T's. You need to go get an MRI.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. She goes, I don't think there's anything there, but you just need to go get it. Let's just make sure everything's done. So I'm like, cool. I go out to the car. First thing I do is call my wife. Hey, they found my problem. I'm taking these 3 prescriptions. I'll be better. And she goes, that's all? And I'm like, well, she told me to go get this MRI, but it's more of just precautionary. I was like, I'm not going to go spend $500 on a deductible for nothing. Once again, being a male.
Yeah.
And my wife, who is the most, at that time, submissive, didn't back talk me, didn't do anything, just sort of let me be the head of the church or the head of the household, gets stone cold silent and goes, you just spent $585 on a used softball bat. And I'm like, you win. That's a very good point.
I
So,
like
yeah,
it's a great
and so-
line.
Yeah,
It's a
so I
great
called
line.
the MRI place, and they said, well, actually, you need to come up here today. It was a stat order.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, what does that mean? They're, well, usually people are going to wait 3 or 4 weeks to get these things, but you need to come up here today. And I'm like, okay. Like, so I went up there, and it was about a 2.5 hour MRI. I mean, it was a long time. You had to sit
Uh-huh.
perfectly still.
Uh-huh.
And they said, hey, we'll call you back in 3 weeks. They called me back the next day.
Yeah.
And they said, hey, you need to come up here.
Yeah.
And so I went up to the office, and I remember going in, and I was sitting up. I'm usually in a pretty jovial mood. I like to be in a good mood. I have Labrador energy. I like to get over things very, very quickly. It's not worth being mad about for long. And so she goes, hey, I want to show you something. She goes, you might want to sit down. I'm like, no, I'm good. And so she goes, okay. And she turned, it looked like a monitor we have in here, probably 18 inches wide. And she turned around. She goes, everything looks good except this. And it pointed to the brain tumor. So that led us to, hey, we're going to do the surgery a couple months out. To all of a sudden we found out my symptoms were getting worse. And I don't know if it's from finding out. I don't know what it is. The brain's a very, very powerful thing. And we ended up having surgery like 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
Because my tumor was so big, not only did it wrap around the ear parts,
Mhm.
it went around my spinal cord. So
Oh,
hydrocephalus was setting in. I think that's what it's called, hydrocephalus, something like that.
Yeah,
where
yeah,
basically my spinal fluid was leaking into my brain.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
so it was siphoning off. So the doctor said probably 2 to 3 weeks of being inoperable just from that kind of thing. Because it's funny, I even walked in limping. And he goes, why are you limping? I'm like, I took a charge in a basketball game and I just fell a little hard. He goes, how are you walking? I had, once again, zero idea.
Yeah.
So it ended
Yeah.
up being an 11-hour
Yeah.
surgery.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Had a
Yeah.
TIA on the table,
Yeah, I bet.
which is a miniature stroke. Because
Mhm.
to save facial paralysis, that's why they took my hearing parts out, just to go around the facial paralysis nerve. I had what's called a sticky tumor, so they still had to irritate the brain a little bit. So in
Where
doing
was
that,
where was your surgery done again?
the House Ear Clinic, so Dr. Daryl Brackman out in California.
In
Actually in
California.
LA. Out
Okay.
my window was the Hollywood sign,
Okay.
which I always thought that was sort of poetic, that was out my window.
Yeah.
And so 11-hour surgery. So I had the stroke induced on the table, which TI is a miniature stroke, so it wasn't bad. But they did tell my wife, hey, 18 months before he really gets back to going full go, who he is, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And the God story, within 4 months, I'm back in the gym. I'm full 100%, all activities.
Great.
Nothing really had changed except the hearing parts that they took out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which has been sort of a struggle. But even my face, so when I first got back, my eye was a little droopy, my ear was droopy.
Yeah.
And I like to work out, I like to take care of myself, so that really hurt. I'm like, oh, this sucks. And my wife hates when I tell that story, but if I'm being truthful,
Yeah.
it hurt to look at.
Yeah.
And everybody's so nice. Oh, nothing's changed. Nothing's done this. And I'm like, I can see, like, I can obviously see.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't sleeping a lot. I think in the first 2 weeks I slept 6 hours.
Wow.
Just because all the medicines, and you know this, as the brain constantly repairs, it's always active. And they tried to give me Ambien, but that just, and I've never been diagnosed with ADD, but everything they gave to calm me down wired me up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
pretty sure there's something in there that
Something. Yeah.
So I wasn't sleeping at all. So I went home and I spent obviously some time out there in ICU, and I spent time with the rehab because I couldn't walk, I couldn't talk, I had to figure all that stuff. My brain knew how to do it, just it wasn't doing it yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I got back home, I took like a 2 or 3 hour nap, which I'm not a big napper, I hate naps.
Yeah.
And my wife just wakes me up she's screaming. She goes, "Babe, your face." And I'm like, "Oh God, what now?" She goes, "It went back." And everything went back to normal. Everything went back to normal over a nap.
Wow.
Now only at night will you see if I'm tired.
Yeah.
My right side will droop just a tiny
wow.
bit, in my eyelids.
And so how has it impacted your work?
The work has been, it's weird because in a situation like this, zero
Yeah.
problem. No one would never know. They
Yeah.
wouldn't know
Well,
any
we don't-
different.
You can't tell.
However,
Yeah.
when you enter out in public,
Yeah.
that's when the two functions of the ear really start
Yeah.
to show up. One back gets rid of the noise, the other one focuses on the voices. So when you don't have one, one ear is doing both exercises.
Yeah.
So that at the restaurants, my wife has to talk for me.
Yeah.
We go to public events, she has
Yeah.
to talk for me, which is really
Yeah.
uncomfortable because I hate telling people I can't hear you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I try to read your lips. I try to do all those things.
Yeah.
Just doesn't work. But on the set, usually not a problem unless it's a big set. So now when I get with a PA or when I get with whoever it is, they have to find out that I need visual cues.
Yeah.
They can't just do verbal cues because that's what they do. And I'd be sitting there
Right.
and they're like,
Yeah.
Action.
and I'm like, yeah. So now it's really just a visual cue of some sort.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, it's one of those things that I think that I was so dumb about the process of getting better, I got better.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be in a good mood and I want to get better because they even said, "Hey,
Yeah.
this isn't normal. Like,
Yeah.
why are you doing this?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know. Like,
You want to
I just wanted to get better. I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
wanted
yeah.
to prove
Yeah.
that, hey,
right.
I can do this. At that point I was 34 and I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
this is just,
Yeah.
you don't know what you don't know.
That's true.
So
Yeah, that's
as
true.
in the acting world, it's just,
Yeah.
I think you have to be dumb to facts. And you have to be dumb to statistics about the opportunities there are for actors working full time.
Yeah.
You just have to sort of ignore it
Yeah.
Mhm.
and move on, even with disabilities or anything else like that. And I like to say,
Yeah.
this is not a disability. Technically, it is, but there's people really suffering
Yeah.
from real disabilities,
That's true.
from real problems. And so,
That is
yes,
true.
mine is a little bit of a issue, but
Mhm.
my God, I'm blessed
Yeah.
to be through everything and where I am at now. Like this is, I'm okay.
And I think that's
Yeah.
a good place to stop because, it's exactly, we're all dealing with stuff, but we all, and you don't know the future. You don't know if it's going to take 14 months or 4 months or ever. And so one day at a time, right?
Right.
And so that's the whole thing.
I do have one last statement.
Yes,
if I
sir.
can say one last
Yeah,
statement.
yeah.
You asked me what I should say about this
Yeah.
before this question.
Yeah.
And we've seen it the last few days with Eric Dane passing away, and you saw his video.
Yeah.
My wife was showing his goodbye videos to his kids. So that was the one thing I did do. So the morning of my surgery, I had to get all my affairs in order.
Yeah.
That was a very real possibility of not waking up from this surgery.
Yeah.
So we had to get the affairs in order. We had to sign the wills. We had to do
Wow.
last rites, like everything just in case.
Yeah.
Because it was just such a large tumor. He goes, hey, we have never operated on tumor this big. We just have to be prepared. So I had to film that goodbye video
Yeah.
to all my kids, in which Colin was, he was in the womb at that point. My wife was 7 months pregnant. So just treat every day as it's your last day.
Absolutely.
Don't let a day go by when you're not saying I'm sorry,
Mhm.
talking to somebody. So I mean, if I can take anything from this, it was
Yes.
filming that goodbye video, and thank God my kids have never had to see it.
Because we aren't promised tomorrow.
Bingo, exactly.
Well, brother, it's been a wonderful
Absolutely.
opportunity to meet and talk. And Bryan, do you have anything to add?
No, it was a pleasure talking with you, Jay. And
Yeah.
and I also will be interviewed by Tom, so you guys will get to
Yes.
see a little bit more about my character. in The Heroes. Thank you guys so much for watching.
And it'll be
On air.
On air.
I know that's right.
Thank you.